So the first thing that we have to understand in the room inventory is the total room inventory. As you can see on the screen, the first thing that you will see is the total room inventory. So the total room inventory is number of rooms in the hotel, number of room keys in the hotel, whether they are available for sale, they are empty, they are sold, does not matter. As far as the room is there is a room number, and that room is being prepared to be sale, that will be considered as the room in the room inventory. Now there are sometimes the hotel build certain rooms for staff, right? So it may be on the say in the on the one floor of the hotel, but they are not intended or they are not constructed to sell to the guest. That is that those rooms are not part of hotel inventory, and those rooms will not be included in the room inventory. However, if the rooms are made to be sold to the guest, but they are occupied by the staff, or they are occupied by the general manager or by the owner on a long term basis or for permanently, that will not make a difference. In that particular room will still be counted as the hotel inventory. The only thing is that will not be counted as available for sale. Now, reason why is it? Because the situation may change later on. You may get back the room when you have very high occupancy, which normally happens. The guests, the general managers or the staff which is staying in house in the guest rooms, which are set up as a guest rooms, are moved out from the hotel to somewhere else, and the guests are accommodated in those rooms. So the occupancy statistics will always be correct. So that is the difference. That is the difference. Now the room inventory here is usually there are two concepts: is number of rooms and number of room nights. So number of rooms means just the total number of keys, while the when we are calculating the room nights, so that the difference is that room night is multiplied by the number of days in the year, because the hotels the inventory is a perishable inventory. Every day we are producing room nights and we are selling them. If we are not selling them, we lose, right? We lose the revenue. So in order to calculate the effectiveness of the hotel in filling up those rooms every night, the concept of room night comes into the picture. So every day, whenever there are, let's say, 30 days or 31 days in the month, we multiply the room inventory by that number, and we get the room nights in the hotel. Because every night when the guest is checking in, they are considered as one guest or one room night. If there are then the next day he check out and then another guest comes, then it's another room night, not the same room. So we cannot say we sold only two rooms, because even if the guest is staying for 6 nights or 6 days, we don't say we sold only one room, right? We said 6 room nights. You can say one room, but when you are comparing that with the inventory, that will not be giving you a right picture. So the normal operating statistics are considered in room nights. But to calculate the room nights, you need to know the number of rooms first, because then you just have to multiply by the number of days. So the available total room inventory is considered as either whether it's available for sale or not available for sale. Now, what is not available for sale? The rooms may not be available for sale when they are seasonally closed, or extended closed rooms, or they are for permanent house use. So there are three types. There are the three reasons why they usually considers or accepts as a reason for not including a particular guest room into the available room inventory. Now, the what is seasonally closed room? Certain hotels which are on maybe beach, which are on maybe mountains, which are somewhere where there are weather restrictions, or the business, because of the business, low business, every year they are closed for certain times. For example, in deserts, you cannot operate a hotel in the super and summertime, right? So during the time from the May until June, July, when there is a hot season, the rooms are closed. For every year is the same cycle. There are beach hotels where there are very strong wind or typhoon is coming during certain months. Uh, those beach locations are closed for that particular period to protect the property from the damage. So those hotels are operated for a certain period of time, usually between August or September and until the next year, March, April, May, whenever the seasons are operating. Certain high altitude destinations, such as in mountains, high up in the mountains, the property may be closed during the winter season because it's too extreme to go to and stay in those particular hotels. It may not be possible to operate the hotel in those extreme conditions. But if it is a is a consecutive time and is closed for a minimum of 30 days during that particular season. So the closure has to be for a minimum 30 days, right? But it has to be consistent over a period of time. Then it will be removed from the inventory for those months, not for the entire year, only for those particular months. So for example, let's say a beach hotel is closed for the month of May and June every year consistently over a period of time, then these 2 months we will not be counting it as available room. So in those months there will be no available room, means the occupancy will be still be zero. But when you are calculating the over a period of time, let's say over a period of year, then you will be adding only 10 months inventory. So the other 2 months will not be added to the room inventory. So occupancy percentage in that case will be higher if you calculate the whole 12 months. Why this is done is because if you are comparing with the one hotel from the another hotel which is operating maybe 12 months, then the comparison of occupancy and ADR or RevPAR will not be apple to apple, because one hotel is not able to operate, another hotel is able to operate for 12 months. So when you are comparing the occupancy, if you compare 12 months and 12 months, the one hotel which is closed for 2 months and is not able to sold, definitely their operating metrics or the occupancy will be lower, RevPAR will be lower. So you will see, the this hotel is not performing that well compared to a hotel which is able to operate for 12 months. So that is why, in order to compare them on the same footing, on the same business level, we normally reduce the time when they are closed for on a consistent basis. So it has to be the same. It doesn't matter when the dates are the same or not, but the process has to be the same. So it may be that in 1 month you are closing down from 1st May until 31st of September. Another month you may be closing from 15th May until 20th of September, depending on the weather season. But the minimum requirement is that the hotel is closed for minimum 30 days. Now, that is the one part of the total room which is not available for sale. Now, the second category is extended closed rooms. Now, what is the meaning of extended closed rooms? Extended, sometimes hotel has been doing a renovation for the hotels. In that case, it is removed from the inventory only when the closure is more than 6 months. Example maybe is damaged because of hurricane, earthquake, or there is any other reason when the rooms is out of the inventory. Hotels normally have out of order rooms, right? There may be a bathroom issue, there may be a mattress, there may be water leaking in the room, and the room is closed for maybe 10 days, 20 days, 30 days before it is fixed and released for sale. In those cases, the inventory is not reduced because it's not up to 6. It's only the major renovation. When we are doing that major renovation for 6 months, then only we will be removing that from the inventory. So the difference between the seasonally closed room is that is done every year, is consistent thing, and the minimum is 30 days. There is no maximum. And but the extended room close is not every year, it's ad hoc, is maybe because of any calamity, or maybe it's because of the renovation that we are planning, but the minimum number of days to close for that particular reason is 6 months in order to remain consistent. Then there are rooms which are for permanent house use. Now these rooms are also removed from the inventory because they are being used on a permanent basis by the hotel themselves. So the hotel may have converted certain rooms as inventory, maybe certain rooms as a GM's room or a manager room or an owner room. So those rooms are usually will be removed from the inventory. Again, the term is minimum 6 months. At certain times, you may have a staff, maybe a new joining staff, who may be coming in to stay in the hotel for let's say 3 months or 4 months before he's able to move out from the hotel to his own permanent accommodation, whether it's a house or a condominium or whatever. In those cases, since the intention is there only for 3 months or 4 months, the room will not be removed from the available sale. It's based on the intention, the actual intention of the hotel. If the room is going to be not available for sale for more than 6 months or not. Many hotels they allocate that one particular room for the GM to stay or the owner to stay. In those rooms, the rooms will be considered as room for permanent house use. Those rooms will be removed from the inventory for available sale. So then you will be getting automatically a available rooms, room sold, which is total room inventory minus the total room available, total room not available for sale. So all our statistics for RevPAR, for per occupied room, or for anything else will only be based on the rooms available. All our occupancy statistics will also be calculated based on room available, not on the total room inventory. So room available is a very, very important definition for the hotel industry. So you have to be very careful with that. So the rooms, now we have learned the rooms available. Next thing we need to learn is the transient room sold. So in the room statistics, we learn transient room revenue, the group room revenue. So what is the meaning of that? Now the transient room sold means it's sold to a guest on an individual basis, not on a group and not as a group, and is room for and on a paid basis, as well as the room sold on gratis in connection with a promotion or a contract. So what does it mean? It means that the rooms which are sold on a money, so whether it's a discounted or whether it's 80% discount, 100 or 90% discount, but it's sold to the guest room, sold to the individual guest on a payment basis, it will be considered as transient rooms sold. Now, sometimes you may be running a promotion, pay to get 2 nights for free. So the guest is paying for 2 nights, another 2 nights are free. Those another free room nights will also be considered as room nights sold. They will not be considered as complimentary or FOC room nights. They are still considered as paid room nights and will be part of the occupancy statistics or ADR statistics. Now, the it may be sometimes you may be doing a contract, let's say to a travel agent. If you send me 100 guests in a month, I will be giving you 2 nights for free. So those 2 nights which are given for free, whether it's to the same guest or to any other guest, will also be considered as paid room night because it's a part of the contract. The next thing you have to know is the group room sold is the same as the transient room. The only condition which is changing here is the rooms are sold in a group of 10 rooms. Certain hotels, they don't follow the 10 rooms cutoff. They may be doing 8 rooms, they may be doing 6 rooms, depending on the size of the hotel. Let's say if the hotel has only 20 rooms, if they follow 10 rooms or more limitation, then it may be very difficult for them to classify anything as a group because they may not be selling it as a group, right? Because they may be selling it as a on an individual basis. So when you are understanding the group revenue, when you are comparing the group revenue of one hotel with another hotel, you may need to really see the sizes are same and the policy they are following is same. Usually recommends 10 rooms or more for being considered as a group revenue. However, sometimes hotels choose different cutoff, maybe 8 rooms or 10 rooms or 5 rooms as a basis. So that is the group room sold. The third room is the contract room sold. So this is the total room sold, right? So total room sold will be part of three: transient room sold, group room sold, and contract room sold. The contract room sold is a special contract with a special rate when the contract length is more than 30 days, a month, or 6 months, or a quarterly basis. So in these kind of cases, the room sold will be considered as contract room sold. It's normally multiple weeks or multiple months. Usually the contract is a monthly contract, not less than 30 days. That's usually the norm. But the definition does not specify that it will be more than a month, but generally is a long term. So it can be for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and as when there is a special contract, it will be considered as contract room sold. But the difference between there's technically there is no difference between the three, because it's still considered as paid occupied room, will be part of the occupied room statistics, will be part of the ADR statistics, will be part of everything. The only reason why we are splitting into the three different natures, so that we can understand how the hotel's business is structured, whether the individuals are coming to stay in the hotel, whether there are groups which are coming to the hotel and stay, or they are being mostly sold on contract basis. For example, a service apartment, which is maybe selling the rooms on a contract basis, maybe selling the rooms on a transient basis, means they come and they go, not on a fixed contract basis, right? So per night. So in that case, they may have to, they need to split the revenue between contract revenue and the transient room revenue, so that they can understand really how much percentage of my business is coming from long-term stays and how much percentage of my business is coming from the transient stays. There may be group stays as well within the same. So maybe the property is a mixed use property, whether they are running it as a long term contract, they are running it as a um, transient rooms, or as a group room revenue. So they in to split them will help them to understand where their majority of business is coming from, what are the ADRs of those rooms, and what is the yield of those rooms, so that they can maximize their occupancy tips. Now, these are the paid rooms. There's another room definition which is called the complementary rooms. Now, the complementary rooms will mean free rooms which are given to the hotel, which are given by the hotel to any guest, often usually for marketing purpose. It can be for anybody, anything else, but it's usually the for marketing purposes, for contractual purposes, for their house use. It may be also for ex gratis, just only for the any travel industry expert to come, or maybe it's a special request from the government, or it can be anything. Usually, it does not relate to the existing contractual relationship. Maybe it's a complimentary room in a travel agent that we have discussed earlier. The classified, there is no the rooms are normally not included for barter. So let's say, for example, you have signed as a barter, where you are giving free room nights and you are getting an advertisement. In that case, it is not considered as complimentary but as a paid room night, because you are getting something out of it, whether in kind or whether in money. So those rooms also should be under the revenue category. Certain hotels, they split the contract rooms, complimentary rooms, into multiple sub-segments, maybe for the trade industry, maybe for the journalists, maybe for the by the owners, maybe for the purpose of promotions. So those room nights, those specifications are done usually to understand what are the main reasons why the hotel is giving the business on a complimentary basis, because complement giving a complimentary room reduces the hotel's ability to maximize the revenue. So that is complimentary rooms revenue. Now these complimentary rooms are not included when we are calculating the ADR, because they are not because every hotel may have different ways of doing the business. If we start calculating that into the ADR calculations, then the hotel's performance will be subjudice. So it will not be able to compare from one hotel to another hotel. So the room, but the room occupied, total room occupied will be transient, group, contract, and the complementary room night. Uh, there is no much of significance for the room occupied. It's just a statistic. These are not used in the P&L usually, not for any purpose or not for any calculation purposes. Just to understand how much the vacant room. So vacant room statistics also again is uh, they may be vacant for just because they are not able to sell, or they may be out of order. Now, the out of order rooms are identified separately so that the management or the owners can understand how many rooms are not able to sell because of the short term errors, so that they can fix the maintenance issue, the maintenance process. They can prioritize the repair maintenance expenses, or it may be temporary closed rooms for any purposes, maybe just only for by the management. Maybe nowadays, especially during the virus time, the management may decide to save the cost or low business time, may decide to say, okay, 2 floors will be closed for less next say a month. They are not out of order, but they are just closed. So you maybe want to classify them as a temporary closed room, so that we can understand really at the end of the year how many rooms we closed because of no business. And then the last is the not occupied. So these are normally just not occupied. They are available for sale, but they are not occupied. So that is the major definitions for rooms. The next we'll be discussing is the guest. Now the number of, as the number of the rooms are specified into the different type of categories. Similar way, the number of guests are also considered into the different similar way. So number of guest transient, number of guest groups, number of guest contract, number of guests on a staying on a complementary basis. So they are just similar. The definition will remain same as the room night. The only thing is here we will be counting total number of guests, and the guest will normally be counting the adults. Kids usually are not counted as a guest because they stay complete. Sorry. Yeah. So those are the total guests, and the number of arrivals, which is another important statistics, are number of check-ins both by the payment and by the complimentary guests. How many check-ins the hotel is doing. Uh, this statistics will help the room operating managers to understand how many staff they need to keep. The hotel may be very busy, may have 100% occupancy, but the number of check-in may be only very little, because the length of stay, the how many people, uh, how many nights the one person is staying is usually longer. So let's say there are maybe 10,000 room nights, but the number of arrivals are only 10. So it means that there are 1000 days is stay. I mean, that's an extreme, but usually you can divide the total number of room nights divide by the number of check-ins to understand what is an average length of stay which the hotel guests are spending in the hotel. You can divide the total number of rooms occupied, sorry, the total number of guests divided by the total number of rooms occupied to understand on an average how many guests are staying in the room. So these two numbers are important for housekeeping manager and front office manager to roster their operations. How often they need to change the welcome amenities, how often they need to have staff to do the deep cleaning, uh, how many people they should be putting on the front office counter. So these statistics on a monthly basis or on a yearly basis will help them to understand in what type of year, how many staff I should have, how many at what time I should be having that. Now there are certain formulas which we'll be discussing in the next video.